G'day, I'm Shayno the Bogan Life Coach, and welcome to another episode of What Do We Need to Know Right Now, distilling the minds of experts during times of strife. Joining me today, I have Big Mike Staunton. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great. I appreciate you giving me the time and the consideration to jump on what we need to know right now.
Absolutely, mate. Well, you are one of the most important people to be talking to during times like this because people's financial situation is at the top of many folks' minds. So that's what we're going to delve into as we go through this. But, mate, thought we might just start off with just a little bit about what you're doing in Queensland, because I know you live in Melbourne and you're obviously not from Australia in general because you speak English quite well. So tell us a little bit about your background.
Cheers. Yeah, I'm originally from North Carolina in the U.S.
Nice.
And I left my first international flight. I left at 25 years old, and I came to Melbourne. So I was in Victoria for the last 9 years. And my partner and I, we just started traveling north just to get out of the cold winters and loving sunny Queensland. Love it.
And, what was the original reason you decided to, of all the places in Oz, to go to Melbourne?
I was a former engineer, and at the time, I was with a company in North Carolina, and they had an opening up actually in Perth. So I raised my hand for that, and they also had an office in Melbourne, and they preferred me to be in Melbourne, which I'm, as a 25-year-old single male at the time, I'm very happy that Melbourne was home. And I originally came over on a 2-year contract.
Yep.
Turned into 4, and here we are 9 years later, full citizen and everything. So I got 2 passports.
I don't imagine a bloke like yourself with your stature and that accent would have remained single for very long, am I right?
Cheers.
Nice one. And look, we met at the infamous Tony Robbins UPW in recent years, and that's where we exchanged some details. I saw this tall, lofty, angular guy with this slick accent walking around. I thought I had to go and see what he's all about. And COVID has kept us apart for quite some months, unfortunately, but I've had the chance to sit down with him, and we are in my neck of the woods. We're in the middle of Ipswitch in Queensland, so I couldn't be more at home. So thanks very much for having me. It's not your place, your house sitting, right? That deal?
That's right. Yes, we travel around, and we just house sit for temporary. So we've been here at this home for 1 week, and we look after the pets and any of the gardening that may need to be done.
Nice. Not a bad gig, and you're sort of going to be bouncing around from different places doing the similar thing, right?
That's right. So how it's set up is this is a website you pay an annual fee to. It's only $84 a year.
Yep.
The one that we've subscribed to.
Yep.
And for an exchange, we get free room and board, and I have free pet care or lawn care, or sometimes it's just that they just want someone at the house.
Yeah, right.
People feel more comfortable when people are home.
Yeah.
Lights are on, those kind of things, versus when they no one's here and they may be gone for 3 months or any period of time.
Gotcha. And has the whole house sitting piece is that kind of taken off because of COVID, or has it just continued in spite of it?
I think there's 2 different things to look at. So for 2020, there's a lot of people that didn't want to leave their house. Now that we're into 2021, more people are traveling, and it is domestically.
Right.
So I believe it's taken off for us because there's less competition. There's no backpackers and people coming from overseas. So we're able to just really have whatever we want.
We're able to just live like rock stars, cruise around the place.
That's it.
Love it. And, mate, tell us just we did a bit of a spiel already, but in sort of 60 seconds or less, I guess, in broad terms, what it is that you do from a coaching perspective and what it is that you do to help folks out there.
I'm a personal financial coach.
Right.
And what I do is I want you to gain control of your money and go forward, have the confidence to be able to make decisions for you and your family for whatever happens. Because we're all going to be faced with a crisis or an option or a chance to go into debt. And that's my main focus, is to get you out of debt and stop going into debt. So before we can even get you out of debt, you must make the decision to stop going backwards. You cannot get out of a hole by digging out the bottom. It's just impossible. You can't do that. As a coach, as a personal financial coach, then what we focus on is the will of life of your finances. How do you feel about debt? How do you feel about credit cards, using cash? How much money do you have saved? Investments? What do you want to do in retirement? All those things are combined with the will to have a balanced will in your financial life.
Nice. Love it. Well, I imagine, as I said before, there's lots of folks that would not like to know more about this, because I think the whole COVID situation has prompted people to look a bit more carefully at their finances, because nothing's guaranteed, is it?
That's it, 100%. I mean, we have entire generations here in Australia that haven't actually seen or felt a downturn. It may even go, I've talked to some clients that they actually only last felt a downturn in the late 80s in Australia. You have the dot-com boom in the U.S. in 2009, and then you have the 2008 GFC. But there's a lot of people that I talk to in Australia, they just haven't felt that at all.
Too sheltered.
Living
on a little island or big island on the other side of the world.
and that is how I feel. I was there in the U.S. in 2008, and that's when I actually graduated from university, and I was looking for a full-time job.
Right.
I personally didn't have any dramas with that, but I could really see the effects of the housing prices and stock market going down for a temporary period of time. And, man, a lot of people going into bankruptcy. There's a lot of foreclosures. I didn't look at the details in such detail to know the suicidal rate, but I would have assumed that it was going to be pretty high for all the financial stress that families were under.
Right. So that has actually gone up as a result, you feel?
In 2008, yes. And then in 2020, I do believe that that's also going to be a big thing that a lot of people aren't talking about, because when you turn on the news, the only thing that you're seeing is COVID, and now it's the vaccines and all these other things. But man, the effects of financial pressure on families is massive. And you're right. I think the whole situation has opened people's eyes. I've gained a lot of new clients, new clientele, like a new genre or a new demographic, if you will, of people that, like, holy shit, I need to actually have cash because my job is not guaranteed.
Right. It's a big deal, isn't it? And look, I'm kind of curious. We might just launch into a bit of Q&A off the back of that. If that's cool, with talking about your clients. I was just kind of wondering, aside from the increased sort of bank balance that some of your clients get, have any of them, after listening to your voice for a period of time, have they reported an increase in sperm count?
I cannot answer that fully.
Because you don't know, or because you just can't disclose it?
Yes.
Well, mate, your deep resonating sounds are certainly doing things to the listeners, I have no doubt. Mate, next question. I did see you had a post about a special spray paint that you have to cover up holes in shoes. I was just wondering, do you have any cans of that handy at the moment?
No cans left. That is a creative way to save money.
Yeah, right. Well, I've got a pair of Dunlop volleys that could definitely do with it. So maybe if you got a can next time, let me know. I'll come around. I'll touch them up.
Perfect.
Love it. Mate, one of the things you've spoken about that really jumped out at me going through your content is you don't want to let fear and emotions dictate your financial choices. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, a lot of us have heard of the 80-20, the Pareto's principle. Pareto's law is 20% head knowledge and 80% behavior.
Right.
And that goes with a lot of things. Health and finances are really closely related. And I like to talk about the health side of things because a lot of people can relate to that a bit more. We know that the head knowledge of health, we should exercise more and eat less. But it's the behavior side of things, the 80% that we're not dealing with. Same with money. I can tell you how to be wealthy in one sentence. You ready for that?
Oh, standing by. Wait. Let's get some music. Let's get a bit of a drum roll. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Hit me with it.
Spend less than you earn.
Powerful.
It's no harder than that. Spend less than you earn. But that's the 20% of the equation. The 80% that we have to deal with, myself included, is the man in my mirror. I have to be able to control my behavior, and understand needs versus wants. I got to be able to tell myself no. I got to have boundaries within myself. I mean, you can see behind us we have neighbors. There's a boundary line. There's a fence. So we have a clear boundary with our neighbor. But we need to have clear boundaries with our coworkers, with our friends, with our family, and most importantly, with ourselves.
Yeah.
Needs versus wants.
Because we live in a world of instant gratification, don't we? We live in a world where it's like, need it now.
That's
it. Things you can buy stuff online, Amazon, at our age, in our 30s, we didn't have that as a kid. So if you wanted to order something, often you had to wait weeks to get it. Now there's Amazon Prime and it arrives on your door, before you've even clicked to spend it. It's already there.
Yeah,
That's a difficult world to grow up in.
It is. And one of the things that come up to mind with some of my clients, I like to focus on single parents.
Right.
I love to help them. And I get a lot of feedback, especially from the women, is that I got to have a safe car. So they go out and say their car gets in a wreck or it just dies, whatever it is. Instead of replacing that $5,000 car, they go out and replace it with $15,000, $25,000, $35,000 car because they got 17 airbags and there's room for 7 kids. They only have 2, right? Like, it's just these things.
2 for now, anyway.
Or 2 for now.
Could be 7 later.
And it could be. And I have no drama with that.
Yep.
Buy a car that you need, if you need one now, that fits your needs.
Right.
You can always sell it. You can always get another one, and there's no guarantee that it's going to continue to last.
And I guess this is easier to program people at a younger age than it is to try and program people later in life, because once you've gotten years or decades of bad spending habits, it's like turning around an oil tanker, isn't it? It's not turning around a jet ski. We're trying to turn around a lot of momentum after a lot of time of people going in the one direction.
Yes, it is tough. Man, I'm lucky that I got to learn and make my mistakes in my early 20s, because making those in my 30s or 40s or 50s, I've had extra time to continue to ingrain those programs, knowing or believing that this is the way I should be. I should be in debt. I should live paycheck to paycheck. I should only be investing $100 a week versus $100 every day. Right? We have choices, but we get programmed. As you said, we get programmed and we believe the things that we continue to see. And it is harder, but it's not impossible. Not impossible. It's amazing. I got a client now. She's actually in her 60s.
Right.
And it's just a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, that's probably very encouraging for a lot of people to hear.
Yes.
That you have clients at that age. So it's not like, the ship has sailed, or if I've already got these bad habits, I'm in my 50s, it's too late. Like, what kind of financial situation did she come to you in?
Actually, a really good one.
Right.
This particular client was a beautiful financial situation, but she still felt out of control. She didn't feel like it was her decisions that got her to where she was. It was, and I'm pointing those out to her, but could she have made better ones? Yes. I think we all can in different areas of our life. And she came to me with just a sense of overwhelm, of stress, and all of this. Even though she was in a good financial situation, she was still stressed out.
Why's that?
Because they don't, this client in particular, but we as behavioral beings, we don't know what we don't know. With the fear of the unknown. Even though she's been dropped into this upper middle class or whatever you want to call it, she didn't feel in control because she wasn't taught. She didn't learn the skills. Like, for example, I know her background and details of her parents and how well they helped her and her siblings get to where they were. They didn't teach them the tools. And that's where I come in. I believe that I'm able to give you the tools, and that's my mission. I don't want to coach everyone. I'm not here to coach everyone. I want to be able to create the ripple effect. So when I have this one client, I want her to teach her family. I want to teach she to be able to teach her friends, and the ripple effect of that to continue to grow. I don't want to coach everyone. I'm not a monopoly in that sense. I want to be able to give you the tools so you can teach other people.
Love it. And what do you think is, what's the best way, what's kind of like your go-to in terms of trying to change that attitude and that behavior of just like, I want that thing now, like it's the latest thing, or take out that loan, like that impulse, that instant gratification. Like, how do you uncouple that from someone's behavior?
It's a great question. And it comes down to why. So I go and I walk through an entire session of your why statement. Why is it that you want to do this? Why is it that you want a new car? Why is it that you want to save for retirement? Why is it that you want to be wealthy? What are those things? Right? I love you mentioned Tony before. I love the story that I heard from Tony of, he was interviewing this kid, 15, 20 years old. He's starting to do well. And Tony asked him, how much money do you need, to be financially free or extravagant or whatever it was? He said $1 billion. right? And Tony breaks it down, and I love that because why do you want $1 billion? $1 billion. And this kid, he wanted, to own a house on every continent. He wanted to own a private island, a private jet to take his family there every year. And then Tony breaks it down again. All right, so how long do you expect to take your family on this island? Because if you have $1 billion, you're pretty busy making money,
right?
Spending time, business, and all that. And he wanted to take his family over on a private jet on a private island that he owns. And Tony just challenged him and said, well, why can't you rent both of those? And when you break it down, if you rented a house on every continent, when you actually spend time there, the private jet, the private island, all of these things, it was only millions. It was like 5 to 10 million when you break it down. That's how much money he needed to do those things.
Right.
And that's not even annually, because he's not going every year. I mean, potentially he is. Let's say he is. It's only millions. And 10 million is not even close to $1 billion.
Not even the same ballpark.
Not even.
And I have seen this sort of stuff with a lot of big financial dudes out there who are, teaching what they do at seminars and stuff. They travel around the world and they rent. They probably could buy a house in every city.
Yes.
But they rent.
Yes.
And we grew up with this whole thing that rent money's dead money. Right? If you're renting, you're paying off someone else's mortgage. Not that that's not technically true. But there's more to it than that, isn't there?
Oh, I'm a big proponent on rent.
Right.
I honestly don't believe that I will ever buy another piece of property.
Right.
And definitely not to live in for financial gain. If it is, it only becomes a want. Owning a piece of property is not a need. It's not a need at all, because I can rent this same piece of property. I'll give you an example of the last place I rented in Melbourne, in Paran.
Yeah.
So
nice suburb.
Yeah, it was really nice. I got to walk to work. It was really beautiful, but it was $500 a week. So this person was bringing in $25,000 a year in annual income from me giving him rent, assuming it's a man. That piece of property also sold when we were living in it, and it sold for $1.125 million. If I had $1 million and I was only getting $25,000 a year in revenue, I'd be pissed. It's not an investment. You can get better than that. That's without a mortgage. Most likely this person has a mortgage. So now your gains are nothing. Now you're just hoping on inflation. Now you're just hoping on appreciation of the piece of property. That's not financial gain.
Interesting, because it's there is a lot of that sort of standard thing that a man's house is his castle. It's you got to have the homestead to grow the family up in and so forth. But it sounds like it's debatable, that kind of old philosophy.
I think so. And there's reasons to buy a house.
Right.
There's emotional things, right? Do you want to have that home base? Do you feel comfortable? Are you at home? This is, you want to be there for 5 years.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable paying this mortgage? And on that subject, I just want to throw in a piece of information that I recommend on when I say you can afford a house, a minimum of 20% down. So that way you can avoid mortgage insurance, because that is literally throwing money away.
Yeah.
It's money it's insurance that the bank forwards onto you in case you default on the loan.
Right.
That money's just gone. It's not even interest. It's nothing. So 20% down, and then where the payment is no more than 25% of your take-home pay on a 15-year mortgage. Those are my requirements. And the reason that I suggest that, you can do what you want. You can do a 30-year mortgage sometimes. I mean, I think California has 40 and 50-year mortgages, which I think is crazy. But do you want to be in debt 15 years or 30 years? That's the question, because the whole goal at 60 or 70, whenever it is, do you want to continue to have a mortgage payment, or do you want to get out of debt? Because when you get out of debt and you don't even have a mortgage, you got a place to live, you're paying for food and utilities. And that extra money gets to go towards investments. And you're going to be able to create wealth for you, your family, generationally. It's a beautiful thing.
Would you look at this a little bit differently if you did have kids, do you think? Is this not that you're single, you have a lovely partner, but if you had kids, would you possibly see this differently, do you think?
Of owning a home?
Yeah.
It's not a need. So it would be a want. That's a conversation we would have to have. It's a great question. I appreciate that. I would say I would look more into buying a home,
right?
Just to feel like the kids had a place to come home to. Because when asked and when I do my research about children, the greatest thing that kids love is to come home. Like, this question stuck out to my mind. I forget who it was. I think it was Brian Johnson, and he asked a question of this family: where's your favorite place to go to dinner? The mom had a place, or it could be the first date or where they got engaged, and the dad had another one, and then the kids. But I think it was like 2 in this study. Both said mom's home cooked meal, and so that place of home and being home is really powerful. So to answer your question, I'd consider that. I'd consider that, but my goal is to pay 100% down. I'm paying cash my next house. I'm on track to that. So when I do that in 5, 10, 20 years, whenever it is, I make the decision to do that, I'm going to do that. And people may ask at that time, how'd you do it? I made a plan.
Right.
I've planned for this. It's been years in the making.
And people, they get into these sorts of things at different stages in their life anyway. People will buy a house before and after having kids.
Yep.
So maybe perhaps slightly different strategies are better depending on where someone's at.
Yep.
What their relationship situation is, and so forth.
And I want to leave the rent versus buy. A little nugget for people is rent is not dead money. Rent is just buying you patience for you to be able to afford that home on the suggestions that I said. 20% down, no more than 25% of your take-home pay on a 15-year mortgage.
Nice. Good advice, mate. Well, definitely throwing out some gold nuggets out there and some things to think about. And look, I'm sure there'll be some listeners that agree and some that disagree, and there's nothing wrong with it. I think that I have been around in the personal development world pretty extensively for the last 18 months since I got locked into UPW back in 2019, and I can tell you what, there is big, successful people out there running multi-million-dollar, companies to teach people finance, and every single one has a slightly or sometimes majorly different opinion. So I think it's about what's right for you.
Yep.
Because one thing that they are all successful, but they have got successful in different ways, and I think people will resonate with things in different ways, and that's totally cool.
And don't be afraid to understand that it changes over time.
Yeah.
I believe this. Do I believe that I'll ever change my opinion on what we just talked about? No. But is it a possibility? Yes. So hopefully my advice will be to the listeners is challenge it, right? Don't continue to live this life of indebtedness or chasing this dream of owning a house until you, 1, get out of debt, or 2, you rent.
There was something you said in one of your posts I really loved. It was, people who were enslaved back in the day were in chains. Now people who are enslaved are enslaved by finance and debt.
Yep, because when you take out a car payment, a credit card, student loans, a mortgage, and all these things, and say $5,000 worth of payments a month. It's very, very common. And you have to go to this job. And say in 2019 you were doing that. Say you're bringing home $10,000 a month. Half of it was going out to payments for, lifestyle. And then you still got to eat, utilities and all that. Everything's fine. Maybe even get to invest $1,000 a month. Perfect. March hits. You're lost your job.
That's it.
$10,000 a month gone. Those payments didn't stop. You still got $9,000 or $10,000 of expenses every month, but you don't have the income.
What you were saying before, reminds me of something I heard. There was a family I was talking to, and this particular individual had grown up with very little money, and has since grown up and has his own family, and was spending big on holidays and spending big, and I want to show my kids everything that I never had. And a friend said to him something that really stood out to me. He goes, "Look, I'm going to tell you something. It's going to sound counterintuitive, but just work with me." He goes, "I grew up the complete opposite." He goes, "We did have everything. We did go on all the holidays. We went on expensive ski trips in the places around the world. And this person's father had since passed away." And he goes, "When I think back and I reflect and I remember my father, I don't remember the fancy trips. I remember sitting around the dinner table. I remember the times sitting at home in the living room, clowning around, right?" Yep. Coming back to what you said before. So I think there's this precedence of people to go, "Oh, well, I want to give my family everything I didn't have."
Yes.
But sometimes that can you can overdo that, right?
Yeah, very greatly said. I remember my dad telling me the same. Like, I don't have children, as you mentioned, but I think every parent wants for their child to have a better life than they had.
Right.
That's the goal.
Right.
But it's not always financially. It doesn't have to be that way. Can it be part of it? Absolutely. But the reason that he had everything is they sat around the dinner table, and they had conversations. And that's where wealth is created. Because at that dinner table, they'll talk about the failures, they'll talk about the wins, and they'll talk about money openly, because it is part of life. It's not something that the only time a child, as what I grew up with, was hearing my parents talk about money was an argument over tears and yelling. That's what I grew up with. So I had no mentor until I got nearly 20 years old.
So your upbringing was sort of middle class, middle lower maybe?
Yeah, middle lower,
right,
I would say.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really proud. Like my kind of relating it to the client that I have in their 60s. My parents are also in their 60s, and man, they're about to be debt free this year.
Cool.
Right? Like I've been telling them, I was preaching at them 10, 15 years ago, like, this is what you got to do, but I wasn't able to. I was getting emotional for them, and it wasn't my journey. It's their journey. And once I removed myself, my behavior affected that relationship. Once I stopped talking about it, I just showed them what I was doing. And when they ask questions, I tell them. And so as a financial coach, and man, yeah, to be debt free this year in their 60s is massive. So you can change. They were never debt free in their entire married life,
right?
Entire adult life. And now they're in their 60s about to hit that. It's massive.
That's huge. That's huge because you sleep better, right? They would sleep better knowing that they don't have to worry about finances and that everything's taken care of. They can go into the later stages of their life, into retirement, with that sense of, we may not be owning an island off the coast of Hawaii, but we are comfortable.
Yes. Our
basic needs are taken care of. We've got a little bit extra to go on that holiday we want to.
Yep.
Yeah, it's important stuff. Love it.
It really is. And go back to 2020, the example of March. You lose your job. If my parents both lost their job or they decide to quit working, they don't have payments. They don't have any payments. I haven't had payments for nearly 10 years, and I'll never go back. But and like I mentioned, I'm on track to pay for my next house in cash. I'll have that money set there for that purpose when time comes. But man, you get to have a life of complete flexibility and freedom, time freedom, when you don't have payments.
And mental freedom.
Mental. Oh, yeah, you're right. Like the lack of stress now, I get to sleep good. I don't have to worry about creditors calling me, because that's a very common thing. I don't have to worry about my boss knowing my financial situation. I get to focus more on my work because I'm not worried about my credit card payment. I don't have to worry about a wrong number calling me or an unknown number calling me.
Yep. Debt collector.
Yep. That's very common. I remember at 19, I had one call me, and it was because of my mom. And the reason that they did that, they used a legal tactic to call me to get me emotional, so I would come to her and get emotional.
Is that in Australia or US?
US.
Yeah.
To make that payment. And it worked because I called her mad as hell that they were calling me during my work hour, and I was kind of embarrassed, but I was a kid. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know it was an illegal thing. Go back in time, what I know now, I would have had a blast with him. But it did what it was supposed to do, because she ended up making a payment to them.
Right. So it's illegal, but in a sense it kind of worked. I guess these people know to hijack people's emotions.
Yeah.
That's the key thing.
And they struggle to get in trouble for it, because the turnover rate is unbelievable. It's like 4 to 6 weeks.
Right.
In these call centers. You just can't do it. You can make cold calling all day and getting yelled at or whatever is going on. And
wouldn't be much of a life, I'd imagine,
nah.
having to do that. But well, mate, speaking of emotional hijacking, I think we'll try something new on this session, if that's cool with you.
Yes.
I've got a client of my own. I do my own life coaching and so forth. So I've got a client called Jimmy, who's from Ippy, as it happens. I call him Jimmy from Ippy. He's from Ipswitch, and Look, we've only been coaching in a coaching relationship for a few weeks, but he has started to demonstrate some bad spending habits and some bad spending planning based off the back of some of our calls. And I thought, wouldn't it be kind of cool to use this session as an opportunity to for you to give him some live coaching? And see if we can steer him on a better course, as it were. So, look, he doesn't know this call's coming.
All right.
I'm going to see if I can give him a buzz. All right. So, given that it's a Saturday, he'll be sober. So, it's only midday. Sun's not over the yardarm as yet. So let's give this a bit of a go, shall we? Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, g'day, Jimmy.
Yeah? Who's this?
It's Shayno, your life coach.
Oh. We don't have a session today, do we?
No, mate, no, we don't have a session per se, but look, off the back of some of our conversations, I think there's someone I'd love you to speak to. I think he brings a lot of credibility from the finance sort of sector, and I think he'll be able to help you out with a few things.
Yeah, right. This guy's not from the government or something, is he?
No, mate, no, I'm not stitching up like that. I'm just trying to get you involved with, the right people to make some sound decisions, all right? So, mate, I just wanted to introduce you to Mike.
How you doing, Jimmy?
Oh, yeah, I'm good. So you're mates with Shayno, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, my name's Mike Ston, and Money Like Mike, you can find me.
All right. Well, yeah, look, you've kind of caught me off guard here a bit, but look, I think I know what Shayno's on about, but I'll just ask.
Yeah, mate, look, what I wanted to dive into was you mentioned on one of our calls that you're adamant about buying this new widescreen TV. And, look, I know a bit about your financial situation. I don't think it's a great idea, but I want you to hear it from someone in a bit more in the know than me. So I'm going to get you to explain your situation to Mike, all right?
Yeah, right. So look, I got this bit of a grant from the government, part of the COVID package and so forth. And look, I just thought it would be a good opportunity to get rid of that piece of crap TV I got in my room. I'll have guests around and stuff, and I just want to, up the ante and get one of those new plasmas. So I've been eyeballing one in JB Hi-Fi for about $2,000, and that's about how much money I've got coming in. So I don't really see what the big problem is, personally.
Look, just work with me. I'm going to get you to have a chat to Big Mike. He's going to put you on the straight and narrow, all right?
Yeah, righto.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks, Jimmy, for sharing that. I don't have all the details of your financial situation, and please share if you have anything that you want me to know, and if not, then I can just share my opinions.
Yeah, well, look, I've been in our jobs for a while now, sort of on job seeker and so forth, and do a little bit of labour and here and there, sort of cash in hand jobbies, kind of cashies. And look, the work I've been doing with Shayno is pretty good, getting me on the straight and narrow and shit. But I just want to have a bit of a place at home where I can entertain people and play the Xbox and so forth. So look, I'm eyeballing this stuff on JB Hi-Fi. It's on special, reduced from 2,500 down to 2. And I don't really know what Shayno's on about, but it seems like a good idea to me.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a very common thing. So 4 out of 5 people are living paycheck to paycheck, and I think it's safe to say that you're probably in that 4 out of 5.
Yeah, that'd be about right.
Yeah, and look, there's nothing.
That's an understatement of the world.
and look, there's nothing to be shameful of that. I've been there. I lived more than 1 year of that lifestyle. But let me tell you, it's a lot more fun when you don't have that. When you aren't buying things because they're on sale. When you get to have money or a windfall of a bonus or a check that comes in that's $2,000 that you don't have to go out and spend it immediately. You get to make the choice because you're in control. And I want you to be in control. It doesn't sound like you are. And I know you're not because you're living paycheck to paycheck, right? If you were in control, if we could do math, you would not spend more than you earn. But that's the lifestyle that you're living right now. And I really want you to step out of that. I want you to take this $2,000 and I want you to put it towards your lowest debt. And then once you get that done, you put the remainder on the next lowest. It's called the debt snowball. Once you get those things, once you get that snowball rolling, it just picks up more snow. So once you get some more jobs, different kind of work, and all these other payments that keep coming in, you get to tackle those debts, because when you're debt free, man, you got freedom, you got time freedom, you don't have to stress out. And so when your friends get to come over and enjoy the environment that you've created, it could be with this $2,000 TV, but maybe not right now. And you get to really enjoy the company, and the people get to enjoy yours, because you're not worried about the money. You're not worried about how you're going to afford the next meal or the drink or whatever it is that you really enjoy doing in your spare time.
Yeah, so what you're saying, mate, it's sort of like, I don't know. I've got a lot of debt with sort of personal debts as well, like off the books. I've got credit card and shit like that, but also a few folks some cash as well. So, look, I like the idea of the snowball effect, getting rid of the lower debt first and shit. Yeah, it's so tempting though, that TV. Just I can just see, the high res and all that sort of stuff. It's just, a lot of my mates are doing the same thing, so I'm kind of trying to keep up with them and shit. But it's just a difficult thing.
It is.
I hope you're taking notes of this stuff. He's sharing some pure gold.
Yeah, I'm taking notes.
And I really understand that. It's keeping up with the Joneses. You want to be like your mates. You want to continue to buy TVs or buy cars or whatever it is that you want to do, because that's who you surround yourself with. So I challenge you, one, maybe you need some new friends, potentially. I don't know that.
Been telling you that for a few weeks now.
There you go. For the top 5 people, or the 5 closest people you are in your circle, that's who you become.
Oh, shit.
That's, relationship-wise, financially-wise, career-wise, happiness-wise. All of these things are, even health-wise, it's all related to the top 5 people you hang around with, because we all are molded by our surroundings.
All right. Just went down to the bottle and bought a cart. I was going to head round to mate Jacko's for the afternoon, but he's certainly given me something to think about. Look, yeah, all right. Well, I need to get cruising, but Big Mike, thanks for that advice. That was heaps sick. Certainly wedged a bit of doubt into me idea of buying that TV. So perhaps there's some better ways it can be spent. So look, thanks, Shayno, for ambushing me like this, but I think it's worth it in the long run.
All right, mate, I'm here to serve you, and sometimes I don't have all the answers, so I'm here to bring in the experts.
Yeah, righto.
Thanks, Jimmy. And I want to leave you one more thing as you go and what else you want to think about is why? Why do you want these things? And I want you to dive deep, right? And so you want a TV because you want to entertain. Why? Because you want to have people over. Why? Keep diving into that. Is it because you want the connection and the appreciation of those around you? And it just comes back to why. So whatever you think the answer is, ask yourself why again. And I want you to do that 5 times. Ask yourself why. Ask why 5 times.
Sounds good.
Mate, you can consider that homework before our next coaching session.
Yeah, fair enough.
Right, Jimmy, thanks for that, mate. Thanks for being a good sport. I know we kind of caught you with your pants down a little bit there, but look, I hope that you got something out of that, and I know that you did, and I hope that the listeners listening into this did as well.
Other people listen to this?
Yeah, mate, it's just part of the podcast. Is that cool?
Yeah, righto, whatever.
All right, mate, I'm going to let you get back to it, and I will speak to you on our next session.
Yeah, righto, mate. Bye.
Big Mike, look, thank you so much for that. I know that was a bit impromptu, and I think sometimes you need to, interrupt people's pattern of life, as it were, interrupt their pattern of thought, and just get them when they're, going down the wrong path. So I think Jimmy definitely benefited from that.
Look, I believe so. When you catch people off guard like that, you can get out of the head and into the heart. And it's really a powerful thing when you get to do that.
Mate, it absolutely is. And, even just listening to that myself, I've got a bit out of it because, I think we attract the clients that we need to attract, right?
Yes.
We end up teaching the things we most need to learn. There's a lot of things you said on that call that I don't do myself. So, mate, I benefited from that as much as I think you did. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Mate, we're going to move on to a next segment here. This is where we try and put ourselves in the shoes of a potential prospect, all right?
All right.
And I call this the objection handling segment. So let's just imagine you have a prospect on the phone. You've been speaking to them a little while, and you are potentially about to close them, all that good stuff. But they have a bit of a lingering doubt about a few things, and they throw you a bit of a curly one. So let's just pretend that that we are at that point of the conversation, and that I am the prospect. So here we go. So look, Mike, everything you said makes a lot of sense, and I can clearly, see that you you know a lot of stuff and you do a lot of cool stuff, but I'm just wondering, should I really be taking financial advice from someone who lives out of a car?
That's a great question, but it's a choice. So this comes back to wants versus needs.
Right.
And I can see how that's viewed as me not having any money.
Right.
But it's a choice. It's a freedom lifestyle. We don't know where home is as far as a residence of that, or even what city around the world, what country. We don't know that yet. And it gives us really a lot of time of trying to figure that out. What feels like home. And it gives us time, if we don't like Ipswitch, for example, if we don't like Ipswitch, we get to go to the next place.
Right.
My partner, she really loves the water. Is it beside the ocean, a lake, a pool? I don't know. We will continue to search those things, and we're not stuck into something, because once you buy a home, it's perfect. Let's say it's perfect. It's everything you need. It suits your family's needs and everything. But your neighbor has domestics every other night. That's not an enjoyable thing.
True.
Right? And if that happens with us, when we get to house sit and travel around the world, we're only there temporary. If it's 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever it is. So, fair question.
Yep.
But it's not always, don't always judge the book by its cover.
Right.
I look like I don't have money, which is perfect. I actually like that. But I got more money than most. And I promise you, I'm not 4 out of 5 people living a paycheck to paycheck.
Mate, advice like that and that voice of yours, shut up and give me your money. Or shut up and take my money, rather. Love it. Good answer, mate. Love where you're coming from. And I think what sort of solidifies that is another thing I saw in your Instagram post was that sort of picture of the 2 people with the carrots. One person that had a little bit above ground and a massive root beneath, who was sitting there humbly. And over to the right-hand side, you had the person with massive, growth above the soil, but very little beneath.
That's right.
Living the flashy lifestyle.
That's it.
Yeah.
The faux rich, I call them.
Faux rich. Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
Look good, got nothing. What they say in Texas is big hat, no cattle.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Big hat, no cattle. Love it, mate. That's very, very cool. So, look, mate, you've shared a lot of gold here today. We will wrap up shortly, but I just wanted to sort of ask you, is there any other questions you wish I had asked that I didn't, or any other sort of things you want to throw out there before we consider wrapping up? Just sort of sprinkle a bit of icing on the cake, as it were.
Look, go in order. I think that would probably be my main advice. Is a lot of people come to me for what they should invest in and all of these things, but they're still living paycheck to paycheck. They got debt. And I want you to get out of debt first. That's the number one thing to do. Just get out of debt, because it's a beautiful thing. When you get a $10,000 paycheck and you don't have $5,000 going out to the bank, you get to keep that money. You get to invest it. You get to give it. You get to enjoy it. You get to go on better holidays. Your kids will remember you actually sitting down at the table because you're not working a second job after hours. It's going to be an amazing, amazing thing to live debt-free. It's a financial peace, is what I like to say. Financial peace.
Love it. And that's certainly not something I've had for most of my life. So sitting down having conversations with folks like yourself is tremendously valuable. I really thank you for your time and letting me come and hang with you here. Look, mate, lastly, how can people get a hold of you if and when they want to sort of reach out and get some advice or see what you might be able to do for them?
Perfect. Find me on social. So I'm on Facebook and Instagram, yep. Money Like Mike. And you can also go to my website at moneylikemike.com. Love
it, mate. Look, I can't wait to go and apply some of these tips and tools. I'm really looking forward to seeing and hearing what Jimmy has done off the back of your live coaching session there. Very, very well done. And, mate, I think we will call it a day for now.
All right. Cheers. Thanks, Shayno.
Love it, buddy.